There you go, Greg. We're gonna get this started.
I'm very excited, Sean. How about you?
Oh man, I tell you, it's such a hard thing to get this going. As anybody who has been following this podcast so far, I only have like a couple episodes, or anybody who's on my channel for that matter. This is Greg here. So as I said, we're gonna be trying different co-hosts. Greg, uh,
Hi, everyone. My name is Greg.
it
So,
is,
as
it
you
is
found co-host of Sean,
it is great to finally do this. We have been trying like dancing on dates and trying to find like as anybody who's following the channel knows that we're kind of just fighting our way through this whole thing, and but yeah, so it's been a real challenge trying to get. We've had technical difficulties, we've had timing issues. I've been out of town, like there's been a million things that have been going on. Everywhere with getting this actually up and running. So I'm just glad that we finally are here and can get this started and, can try to move this whole process forward after all is done. Okay, so is there anything you want to add, Greg? Let's start there. After, what are your thoughts on the process of starting up a podcast?
you know what? I used to overthink about how we should start a podcast because it's my first time working with you. That's one thing that I'm very concerned of. But before this, we have talked about what we need to do, and then I feel better after that. As long as I'm with Sean, I'm good.
See, that is a fantastic answer, but you know it's terrible because I have no idea what I'm doing here. Like at the end of the day, like this is just like you get in the mindset, you just got something you want to get out, and you have like a vision for how it's supposed to work, and it just doesn't. It never happens quite the way that you think it will. You think it's going to be this. You ever see the videos where it's like where you have like what people think that how they're doing something and what's actually happening. Like so you think it's going to be great, but then what's actually happening is just craziness. I think that's much that
Like
makes
this, people don't have an idea what was just happening before we started this.
yes, right, absolutely. And so everybody just bear with us on this. I mean, like I'm going to do all the normals of like and subscribe and blah, blah, blah. Let's make sure you do that and follow us and watch us through this journey as we're trying to create something, and create something that actually like has some meaningful impact to people around because, obviously anybody who does follow the channel knows that my overall purpose in this channel is trying to kind of be positive and get people to follow what what they really want to do with themselves, because if you just go along with the status quo, you kind of get lost in the mix. But I'm a firm believer of following like what it is that you actually want out of life, and I think everybody just be happier that way. And with how crazy everything is in the world right now, especially here in the West, I mean, speaking of that, well, have you heard all the craziness going on over here, Glenn?
Yeah, a lot of things happen lately in the entire nation, right?
yeah, yeah. I feel like if ever there was a time for somebody to get out of this country, it's now. Now's the time. It's absolute craziness going on over here. Everybody is just wild, and I just can't. It's time. It's definitely time to go. So, with that being said, I think that we're going to find our own little niche in this whole thing and figure out exactly what makes sense about it all. And hopefully, anybody who's listening will be interested to to go along with the process and see if they see where are we like in a year, right? Like because we're this week and we're crazy, but each one's going to get a little better, right? That's kind of the overall theme right now. Each time we're getting a little bit better and figuring out what we're doing and just making this process move along a little bit better, right?
Let's bring it on.
There you go. So I like and that's why I wanted to work because I like the positivity, right? I can see that you have the positivity, and I need some of that. Yeah. Okay, so this today, I think that because people see me all the time and on my regular YouTube stuff, and they hear me talking and things like that. So I think just to get an overall kind of feel for you, Greg, and to see what you're about, right? And I think that I'm going to go over a few questions that I have because. So let me say that we talked about this about a little bit last week when you and I were just speaking. Like if a lot of YouTube channels that are talking about people going over to the Philippines, who they always talk to, it's always like guys or even girls just talking to girls. They always talk to women like, oh, what do you think of foreigners coming over there? What do you think of this? And what do you think of that? But nobody ever seems to talk to Filipino men, right? And I think there's a, I personally think that's a huge mistake, and a huge mistake because like obviously it's not just about the it's for me anyways, and what I think a lot of people feel it's about the culture, right? And there is no without. I mean, the culture is both sides, right? Both genders. It's not just the women and that kind of thing. And even if you're going to like date a Filipino, right, or whatever, she still has brothers and a father or uncles or whatever. So I really think it's important to kind of get your, a male take on the whole thing, right? So, okay, so with that being said, let's just start with let's give a big blanket and then we'll go from there. But the big blanket is how do you think, or even, or let's start with how do you feel? What are your personal thoughts on like uh, foreigners in general? Let's start there. Just foreigners in general. What are your thoughts on foreigners coming over to your country, and how do you see it affects your culture because there's so many Westerners actually like coming your way?
Right. To be honest with you, I feel no issue about that. We have been very welcoming to Westerners or Americans, and then we just have this first impression whenever they go to the Philippines. Either they do business or either they do to find girls. They want you want to date or what? That's exactly what we have thought first when we saw Americans going in the Philippines. Girls. That's what we want.
Like just out of curiosity, is it like a do you like it's kind of like as a foreigner, I feel like there's even though I think Filipinos are very welcoming and friendly, and you never because there still is a language barrier most, and it seems like more Filipina speak English than Filipinos, right? The more women speak English than men is my impression, right? Like that's just from my
Impression.
it's well, just what I see. So
I
I don't.
think you have to try to talk to Filipinos. I think they do speak English better than Filipinos because Filipinos have this confidence to joke out the situation. They made it for fun, but they don't speak English good than Filipinos. But I believe intelligent wise, it's really Filipinos who speak English a lot.
Really, so you really think that there's more men that speak English, for example, than women?
That's correct. That's
Really?
what I can say. Yeah, yeah. You try to stick Filipino people. They
Well,
do.
and so I always get like it's always seems like because like I said, so because there's the part of the language stuff and then also culture stuff, and I just feel like I can never tell like what the guys are thinking. Are they thinking negatively about it? Are they thinking like my like oh this guy is just coming over here to like date my sister or whatever, you know what I mean? Or do they think is it more is it not something they think about? It's something that as a like a group, you see a group of five Filipino guys standing somewhere just talking. Do they even care that there's a Westerner there?
Actually, no. That actually depends on your treatment or relationship with us. If you come as like how you present yourself, it's like a bad vibe or you're acting cool, that the only times like triggers the a reaction of these guys is here. But if you act cool and you just act normal, and then your intention is good, then they're very welcome and very friendly to you too. So there's no bad impression to you at all.
Really, really. Because obviously I can only go off of my culture, and everybody knows, especially right now. I think we were better about it before, but here now we've become very uh, anti-foreigner for some reason in my country. That's like this new thing that's cropped up. That it's like if you're, which I think is craziness, seeing how we're like everything here. Like there's every culture is all mixed up here, but yet all of a sudden we're like, oh, if you're not from here, or if you have an accent or whatever, then you shouldn't be here. And it's it's very weird, right? And that's the one thing that I really liked about going over there is that I have never been in a situation to where I felt well. I can't say that. Only one time there was a place over in Manila, and I went to a place where I was only in Manila for one night, and I needed a place to stay just for one night, and I wound up going into what like it was like a I was super weird. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a private neighborhood.
Mhm,
Like we couldn't even get nobody could go in and out of this neighborhood except for people who lived in that neighborhood.
mhm.
Do you know what I'm talking about over there? Do you?
It's a village. It's like a
Oh
rich place,
yeah.
right?
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what, are they, is that what villages are like? Rich people?
Yep.
Oh,
So
oh, so
private property is like no one can get in, even if only if you are, licensed to go in and out in that place. So it's a village. It's like rich people who are residing in that place.
Oh, see, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was like rich people or if it was like indigenous of some kind, like it had some kind of special rule. I didn't know what it was, but the place that I was renting was like literally just outside of this village. Like it was right by the gates of this village. It was like the gates were right here, and then it was like a little building right next to the gate. And I'm like staying there, but you had to go down this long, almost alley to get to it. And I'm staying, and I was the only Westerner, like as far as the eye could see. Like it was the only time I was ever like, and people just like looked at me like why are you here? You know what I mean? And that's the only time I've ever felt that way ever.
But you know what? I don't think um people are staring at you for being you. I think Filipinos are very judgmental. We do judge people by our first impression. If you like go in that place and you're covered with tattoo, every time we had our impression that this could be a bad guy. We're not fully equipped about the personality of people who are wearing tattoo, but if you're just new in the place and you're wearing tattoo, it gives them the impression that you could be a bad person. So
Yeah,
bear with Filipinos.
I think that's one of the things. That's one of the obviously I'm covered in tattoos. You know what I mean? And I think that it has maybe that's worked against me a couple of times just because the you know here in the West we basically don't think anything about tattoos anymore. You know what I mean? Like it used to be when I was younger, like jobs wouldn't hire you if you had a certain color hair. They wouldn't hire you if you had tattoos. Like when I was like first entering the work market, and the only people who had tattoos were like yeah people who were doing things that were terrible. But now our culture is very much so like
Right.
yeah we just gave up on that. We don't even acknowledge. And oddly enough, like the first time I went to Japan, that was probably my craziest experience with that. So first time I went to Japan, I had just gotten off the plane and I went to eat at the very first restaurant. I go in, I sit down, and next thing you know, the owner of the place like ran over to me with towels in his hand and started wrapping them around my arms. And he said I was terrifying all of the customers in the place. They were like he was like it's crazy and yeah. So I essentially I was like okay well I'm sorry and I had to leave. But so that's what I'm saying is that I've had that experience where my tattoos. Obviously, when people get to know me, I'm not there to like smash up the place or do nothing crazy. You know what I mean? I'm just me. I just have tattoos, and we just that's that cultural difference, right? We don't look at it
Right.
to be something crazy. What do you, so when and now a lot of foreigners, I would say the vast majority of foreigners have tattoos. You know what I mean? So does the Filipino culture do they not like overall, do you think that they view that as being a negative of having tattoos?
In the present times, I do think we are now very understanding and we are like uh, fully educated about tattoos because it's been a long discussion here in the Philippines because we are very like conservative, country. Tattoo is a very, very big deal, but we've been having discussions before like that, and now it's been somewhat like normal here in the Philippines. So I personally have also like fear of meeting or encountering people who have a lot of tattoos because that's my mindset. That's what we were taught of when I was a kid. Like you have to be
Right.
careful when one person is meeting that has a tattoo. That person must came from a prison. Okay, so yeah, so that's what's implanted in my mind that they are bad people. But since I've now grown up person, so I was like already informed and educated that it's really an art. So now, no issues at all, right?
Yeah. Let me be one. If nobody says this out loud, like, especially like, I can't speak for Filipinos that have tattoos because I don't know what you guys have going on with that, but I would say the vast majority. Well, no, I would say probably not the vast majority, definitely. That if they're over in your country and they're Westerners, right? That only the Westerners that are going over there are, for the most part, are not criminals, right? Like, we don't, like, the criminals aren't even allowed to leave. You know what I mean? They're not allowed to leave. And also, it's as a, I would say, as a culture, the people from, especially from the, not from like Britain, I guess I can't even say the West. I would say just from U.S. Like, the vast majority of our population don't leave our country, like, ever. So it is kind of like the Philippines in that, like, a lot of Filipinos don't ever leave the Philippines ever, right? And a lot of people from the U.S. also don't leave our country. It's only people that are a certain mindset or a certain affluence and so on and so forth even leave our country on large scale, right? So I would say that just for anybody listening, if you ever think that, like, don't let that be the factor that, like, makes you think something is negative just because of the tattoos. Because here we don't view it as bad, so you wind up getting a bunch of tattoos or doing whatever we're doing, then you go over there, and yeah, just definitely be willing to talk to the people because it's just not that, you know what I mean. It's not that serious for us, and yeah, and I think that is especially over by that village. Back to what I was really saying, man, that was the only time that I was ever like almost like had that feeling like that it was like mothers like hiding their children. You know what I mean? As I'm walking by, they're like grabbing their kids and like moving out of the way. I'm like, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm just walking down the street. It's okay.
Chill, I'm just passing by, guys. I'm not a bad person here.
That's just, it's okay. And I would say so. And then back to the original topic, I would also say that I think that especially a lot of Western men, go over with the intent to. So I think everybody kind of goes over, like, vast majority once again from the West go over there with the intent to meet girls, right? Like, that's kind of like the big thing. Oh, you can go over there and find girls um, that are more home based, that are more like a lot of the things that our culture is neglecting right now, right? But I think that it is, if you're actually going to go over there and have a real relationship, like, you have to get out of that mindset, and you really have to, like, because it's easy to meet females, but it is a lot more difficult. And but if you want to have an enriched relationship, you have to meet both people. You want guy friends, and you want friends and relationships other than just a girl. And I would say one of the biggest challenges is, how do you, like, it seems like there's a barrier. Is it like the women always want to meet foreign men? Are the guys also interested in being friends with foreigners? Like, is it something that they're like, oh man, I'd like to have a Western friend? You know what I mean? Is that something that happens? I'm always wondering the conversations that are had, between two Filipinos when there's no Westerner around. Those are the questions that I always have. Is like, what's being said when the Westerner isn't there, right?
Well, about that, I think the only person that can tell it is really the person from out of the country, like visiting in our country, the Philippines. That depends on your intention, because we already knew that you have your intentions coming in the Philippines, whether to enjoy, to have fun, or to find friends, or to find, possible partner. So that
Right.
depends on your intention. So we all have that idea already where you guys are coming in the Philippines. It's only up to you how to confirm it, because we're normally asked, what do you want to do here? Are you for vacation? Do you want to find partner? Are you for business? So
Mm-hmm.
that, the deal is on your intention. So what's your real intention of going here in the Philippines?
Right, right. Yeah, and I would say that like I said, I think most guys are going over there. They're looking for a partner, but I've also heard a lot, like, because obviously I watch a lot of YouTube and I talk to a lot of people about this whole thing. I talk to a lot of people over here, and it always comes back to the girls, girls, girls. But I think that, but I've also watched a lot of YouTube videos where foreigners are like, I've always felt like, I wind up meeting a girl and then they introduce me to their friend, but you always feel like you're kind of on the sideline, right? You feel like you're not really a part of the group. You're almost like a novelty in the group. Do you have any foreigners in your family?
I do have, like, my cousin was married to an American. She's now a citizen in Idaho, so she's now in Idaho, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is she still married?
yeah. Actually, that's a good relationship built from the very beginning because my cousin never speaks English. She doesn't speak English. She doesn't like know one-handed words, English words, literally.
Really?
Yeah. And then imagine how they can get even to work the relationship if that person cannot speak English. So what she did that time was like she bought a Filipino English dictionary and
Mm-hmm.
then she's trying to learn from there. And then the man like really decided to bring the girl into her country because the girl was really so polite, very demure, like very gracious. Like she's like the type of woman that you can never look to a typical woman in the Philippines. Though
Right.
she speaks English barely, but she can see the character of a Filipino woman, like a woman that can stay in the outside the country, bring out the country, build a family. So
Mm-hmm.
now they've been there, I think, for almost 15 years, and they have their own family.
Oh, 15. She speaks English now, obviously.
When she met that American man, she was single, of course, and then
Right.
now they have a beautiful family, like they're three or four.
But now she speaks English now, right?
She's still married.
No,
She's
no,
not.
no. Does she speak English? Does she speak
Um,
English now?
yeah, of course, 15
Right.
years. Yeah,
Yeah. Now she's
she's
got
been proved already. And then
it.
we had a chat. We had a video call, and then I remember her like talking with me. She told me that Um, I I've been staying here already in America for 15 years, but bro, you speak English better than me. What's your secret? Because, but now she can speak English good. Like she can now communicate
That's good.
over
And
time.
but how on earth? Like, I wonder how that would even happen. How would you? How did she even meet the guy? She spoke no English. Was he over there? Is that how they met? Was he? Did he go to your country?
Like like I told you, that specific um place, like the
Uh-huh.
entire town, every
Uh-huh.
single household there, their dream, the parents' dream is their child to be married to an American man.
Really?
Exactly. Because that's their mindset because they cannot afford to send their kids to school.
Right,
So
right, right.
that's the only way for them how to survive from poverty. So basically, it's like how American can change their life instantly when they married an American man. So that's the real reason of that. So
Right. Well, how did they actually meet though? How did they
it
actually?
was through Facebook. It was through Facebook, and then yeah, you better have Facebook now, Sean.
That's crazy. I mean, how do you like? I can't imagine how to communicate through Facebook if you don't speak. You know what I mean?
Here's the reason. Here's the reason. It was through Facebook. My cousin's friend uses Facebook that time, and
Uh-huh.
then that foreign guy was like looking for a woman. So it's like through referring a friend. It's like
Yeah.
that. So her friend refer, and then by the time they meet, you know what's funny? They're actually three. So it's basically her friend has become the interpreter during the communication and all.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
it's like helping going through against all odds just to get it through.
Wow, wow, wow. That is that is crazy. And like that's one of those things with what you just said. That's something that I find really interesting. Is that like when if you said that everybody in the village, the dream is to be able to meet a Westerner and to be able to get into a relationship because it brings them out of poverty. So like the question that a lot of Westerners would have with that, right, would be like, is it is it a is it a positive thing, right? When I say a positive thing, meaning like, are they? Is it just like a lot of Westerners would instantly go to? I mean, we're used to a certain type of relationship here, and the initial thought would be that she's just using. They are like, oh, let's ask this question: how far apart in age are they with each other?
Actually, the guy was really old. Um, I think if it's gap wise, I am not so sure about this, but I can see from the face that the guy was really old,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's 30 or 30, 35 gap. That's what I can say. So,
Whoa! So there's a 30-year gap between the two. Like, so she's like 20 and he's like 50.
right now, I think the guy was around 17, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
And how
17
old is
plus.
she?
Yep.
How
And
old is
I
she? How old is she
um
now?
I think it's 40 plus. 40 plus.
She's 40 plus now.
40 plus. So by
And
the time they meet, I think she's close to 30-ish. It's 27 or 26, something like that.
she okay, so 27, 26. And how old was he when they met?
The guy was around 50 plus.
50 plus. Okay, and then wow, that just leads right into the next one. Like here, that would be like they would like women would have pitchforks. People would have pitchforks. They would be trying to kill you because like culturally speaking, if you're a guy that's like me. I'm 49, right? So I'm 49, and if all of a sudden I started dating a a 25-year old, right?
Hmm.
Like everybody here, if I took a picture with a 25-year old and put it on Facebook and was like, "Hey, this is my new girlfriend," everybody like would tell me I'm terrible. They'd be like, "You are a horrible person. You are absolutely terrible." Like, how do how do Filipinos as a culture view that age gap? How do they what do they think of it?
Actually, it's not new at all. It's actually like the same thing. We have the same reaction over and over, so it's not new to us. When Filipino uh, women married to a Westerner, we already have this, in mind that this Westerner could be like 50 or to 70 years older. So
And,
that's
and
already
do they view the Westerners being bad for doing that? Do they view the Filipinos being bad for doing it? Do they have what's the overall thought on it?
actually no. Have you ever wondered why do many women in the Philippines marry foreign men who are to 20 to 30 years older than them? Have you ever wondered that?
I have yeah, well, because yeah, like because here, of course, I wonder that because here, like the only way that happens is if like if the guy is rich, right, and he can and he's like and it's like one of those things like she's using him for money, he's using her for beauty, right? Like it's like a use. I don't know if you call it use. It's a transactional relationship. It's a relationship that's based around the fact that like I can give you something and you're giving me something in return. But it's not. It's there's not like especially on the women's side. There's no. I would say overall, there's no real love there, and I can't. That's not 100%, but I would say the vast majority. There's no real love in that relationship, right?
Right. While economic factors are actually significant, not all such relationships are transactional for me, okay? Because some women actually genuinely connect with older foreign men based on personality, shared values, or emotional compatibility. So it's not about money at all. Because Filipino women instinct, like treat them right, you have to show them you love them, you have to show them that they're be treated right, then they can actually reciprocate the kind of love because they only wanted to get it from poverty primarily. That's the reason, and they
Right.
also would like to elevate their life. And if only marrying to a Westerner could change their life, then they can actually do the same thing by just fidelity, loyalty, and faithfulness. They can give that to you as long as you treat them right. So it's not about money at all. It has to involve with money, but I think they also need to have a genuine connection and the value they can get from Westerners.
And like as a culture, do let me do is that does that happen even in like Filipino to Filipino? Is there are there a lot of age gap relationships even Just Filipino to Filipino.
Of course.
Really? So that happens there too.
But it's not the same gap as Westerner and Filipino, compared to Filipino to Filipino. Because,
Mm-hmm.
say for example, there was this famous artist in the Philippines. He just recently died, actually. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he actually had a relationship with a minor. So,
Well, that's so good.
yeah, a minor. It's 16 years old. But then he showed that to the public that he had a relationship to a minor, and then he waited until that lady turns at the legal age, and then
Yep.
they married eventually.
Right.
And everyone like got shocked, they criticized that person, but at the end of the day, actually we have accepted them because it showed real love between, the two of them. It's not money after all. We have seen that they really love each other during those years before he passed away, and we came to understand that it's not really age after all. It's a matter of your feelings. But again, 16 is just too
How,
much.
how, how long were they together before he passed away?
I think it's like almost a decade.
Really? Okay.
Almost a decade. The relationship went better actually, and
Really? See, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
is yeah, and my siblings personally, they also have an huge age gap relationship. My two sisters were married to older men who are like 10 or 11 years older than them. So it's not new to us. I think it's more mature to marry someone older than you. So that's one thing we consider for. Mhm.
Right. Yeah, because like so like I guess even my thought on it would be a lot of like I mean, because you're talking about a lot of times where the guy will show up and I've seen this happen where the guy shows up at a girl's house and he's as old or older than the girl's parents that, that he's talking to. And I'm like, here, if I showed up at some guy's house and she was like, "Oh, this is my new boyfriend," or "This is my husband," and I was the same age as her father, he would shoot me dead. Like no care, like he would pull his gun out and he would shoot me dead right there on his porch. Like absolutely not. And I think that's very like it's very interesting that that's not like a thing there. You know what I mean? Like I really think that it's really wild that that's not really an issue, right? And and if you had a daughter and like would you be mad if she showed up with a guy who was the same age as you?
Actually, I find it funny because I couldn't really imagine like when you get in a relationship to a 25-year-old woman and then um her father was like 48 and you're older than the father, and imagine the situation when she introduced to you, Dad, this is my husband. But
Right.
but you know what, that really happened here, and
Yeah, no, it happens. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, yeah.
that really happened here, but we don't really mind it actually. We don't really
That's
mind it.
that is so like I said, like just from my culture, that is so crazy. Like because and I guess it comes down to the simple fact that this is what I try to tell people that are because everybody's like and for me personally, like I don't have like some like young like overall young interest like I want to hook up with a 20-year old or something like that. It's not really my that's not my taste. I guess is the best way to say it. That's not what I'm into.
Hmm.
And then the argument is always that like, okay, so I am, I'm 49 or I'll be 49. I'm 49. Like, what do I have in common as an interest with somebody who is 25? Right? Like that's always the argument. It's like I have all this life experience and they're still young and basically, you know what I mean? Like, do you like? Is it? Yeah, just that it don't that we from our perspective in a thing, it's almost like you're taking something from that young girl, right? Like you're taking her youth away. And what my argument is that like there's a lot that can be men when they reach a certain age, they actually find that it rejuvenates them being with somebody younger, right? That they actually can, and the culture is so different. Like I think it might be different if the girl is from here and you're from here. While like the culture is so different that there's not that conflict of interest anymore because like the way that you're raised over there and the way we're raised here, like you're gaining something new from both sides either way. So the age doesn't really play into it as much. And but yeah, I just think it's crazy. And even as a young as a young man, like you don't feel that. Or let me ask you this: when you're talking with all the guys about this kind of stuff, there, do you guys have these conversations? Do they come up, or is it something that you guys really don't even talk about?
Well, I haven't thought of that yet, but if in case, yeah, we're actually very um open to it. We're very open to it.
Yeah, so it's not something you guys like talk like actually like actively really even talk about. It's not something that you really even you just see it and then discard it. You don't really pay attention to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's just really common. Though we do have side comments about it, but we just, yeah, okay, just let it go. Let them be. It's just like that. It's
Yeah.
it's fast as that.
And then you're not like so you're not angry that like foreigners are coming over there like these old guys or fat guys or whatever are coming over there and stealing all the pretty girls. Did that conversation come up?
So it's turning out that Pastor is coming here in the Philippines to have like a competition between Filipino men, Filipino men. So at some point we're getting jealous of that because why can we not provide, the same opportunity to the women that we're gonna marry or about to
Yeah,
date,
right, right, right,
given the circumstances, right? So
right.
it's someone like only we hope that how I wish we have money too, how I wish we have this too, so that we could give this to the well, no, the lady we want or the woman we want to date. It's just like more of questioning, but we don't feel envious at all about it. So yeah, that's
So
okay.
you guys, you think about it and wish that you guys could have it, but you don't have the animosity attached to it. So
Exactly.
you're not like angry about it, like screw that guy because I don't have whatever, right?
No.
So that's and see, I think that's something that's very different between Filipino men and Western men because Western men would be absolutely be very jealous of that. If there was another country where the money was so much greater than ours, right? That they could come over here and then they just are automatically higher on the scale because they have so much more money, so many more resources. Guys here would be, they would be miserable. They would be so angry about the whole thing. It would be absolutely terrible. And then, so here's another question: Do you do Filipino men wish that that foreign women would come over there and meet them? Is that like a thing? Do you guys ever talk about that?
Um, you mean like Westerners going to the Philippines, date women, and us Filipinos, our perspective about that?
Like no, like Western women go over there to meet Filipino men. Like, do you guys wish that would happen? Do you guys talk about that? Like, why can't Western women come over here and meet us? The
We
way the
do
men,
we do think about it, but we also consider what we can offer to Western women. What can we offer when we're just living to the bare minimum, right? But usually Filipinos have this unique sense of humor where we can get the latest, trust so easily. We have
right?
this kind of treatment that we just make them feel special too. A very unique characteristic of Filipinos that we can also, even though we don't have a lot to offer,
Yep.
but by just treating them that way, I think we have our advantage. We have our advantage.
Yeah, you know, and that's something that I would say all the time that I absolutely see is that there's definitely a an overall positive attitude
Mhm.
that I see coming out of like no matter what, if I'm deep in the province over there or if I am in the city, there seems to be an overall positive attitude that I can't quite put my finger on where exactly it comes from because I just go off of my own culture, and in my culture, if we were in the same situation, people here would be very bitter. They would be very, very, very bitter, and that's what I don't see over there. I don't see that. I see that everybody is still happy and smiling. And does it change that the attitudes about that? are the older people, are they more bitter about it, and the younger people are okay with it, or even are the old people okay with it and the young people okay with all of this?
How we wish we're very equal when it comes to the ideology of, Westerners, young Westerners and old Westerners going here in the Philippines. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we really have set standards so high. As Filipinos, we see older men as financially stable, responsible, and can
Right,
give a good life to Filipinos. If
right,
on
right,
the other hand, if it's a young Westerner, um, we only adore them for the physicality. They look
mm,
good, they look better, and yeah, they have this kind of feature that every other girls want too. But
right,
the
right, right,
question is, the stability, can they give that to you? So
right.
that
And the young people, the vast majority is no. They can't.
we do see that as a red flag. If you're young, so you are tend to be more attached to many girls. So it's not just you. Unlike, the other way around. So
Right.
there's like, a balance of treating the situation for young and old Westerners. So
Really? Okay.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, that all makes sense. I like I said, the whole thing is just it's so crazy to me, and like it's so weird how yeah, just how we look at things in comparison to how you guys look at things, and I like I said, I think that the overall attitude is so much more positive, which is like I said because I've been all over the world, right, and I've said this in my YouTube and stuff like this, and never have I been in all the country I've been to. I've never been like, oh, this is the place I want to stay. And everybody always they say the first thing they always say, oh, it's because this is because you want girls and you want this. And I'm like, no, because I don't have a problem getting girls here, but I like the culture. Everything over there just seems much more positive. And like I said, it's not that it's all perfect there, because I know the Philippines has its own set of issues and stuff like that. But that's everywhere. Everywhere has their own set of issues. So you can't go anywhere in the world and everything be perfect. Um, but everybody is much. They just seem uh, happier there than. And I feel like there's something missing here, and that's the reason why I. That's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm going through this process of closing things down here and going there. And speaking of that, I'll actually be there. I was hoping to leave tomorrow, but it looks like it's going to be another week. I have just more work stuff that keeps catching me up. But
Ryan, since you mentioned that you've been to different places already, the world, let's say, and then
hmm
you've been coming back and forth here in the Philippines, right?
hmm
So
hmm
I would like to ask you this question.
yeah,
Is it hard to find or to date a Filipino woman based from your standard? Did you find it hard?
is it hard to meet Filipino? No, not at all. It's actually it's quite easy to do that. Um, but I guess my own, I've run into my own set of issues. Everybody, I don't want everybody to think. Everybody thinks that if they're all they're looking for is for like a hookup or something like that, yeah, it's something you can get that done if that's what you want. But for me, I guess yes, it's difficult because I'm looking for certain things, right? I'm looking for um, certain criteria, and I find it's like I find some of the criteria I want in some places, right? But then they're just missing in other places, and it's I don't know. So I would say yes, it's kind of hard if you're looking for the right fit. But I think that when you come over there as a Westerner, I think it's hard to find the right fit from here because I think that if you're I guess really all depends upon what your intentions are and how you want to go about it. I tell everybody. I told my son who actually wants to come over there and things like that. I'm like, that's cool, but stop trying to meet people online.
Okay.
Stop doing that. Don't do that. If you want to meet somebody, go over there and actually just meet someone. The online thing, because what's going to happen is you're going to meet somebody online and you're going to start becoming emotionally invested, and then you're going to go over there, and then you're going to realize that you have a lot more options, and we're so used to having such limited options here that you're going to go over there and you're going to kind of go crazy. And I think that, like, I really think that's, yeah. So I mean, it's like that's a complicated question for me, just because I would say that no, it's not. It's because overall it's not difficult, but I think that it like you're it's the first time from the Western perspective that a guy can be really, really, really picky,
Mm-hmm.
right? He actually can really like step back and look at all of his options, and that's something that's so unique. And let me like from a Filipino standpoint, do you guys feel like you have a ton of options with dating? Like, do you feel is it as easy for you to find girlfriends and dates and things like that as a Filipino male? Do Filipino males have the same? Are it just as easy for them to date there as it is for a Western man to date there?
Actually, it's very different because you Westerners have the means to travel the world. We don't have that. That's one thing.
Right,
So
right,
when you get a chance to travel the world, you will meet different people. We have limited to resources. So basically, as much as we wanted to date different race, we want to try that, but it's not just gonna work that way.
right.
So
Not just different weight, but I mean like just dating Filipinos. Like, do Filipinos are they? Is it easy for a Filipino male to find and date a Filipino woman? Is that do they have a lot of options? Is it very easy for them to meet girls and start a relationship? Is it easy for them like it is for a Western over there?
okay, for some, it's very easy actually, because it's been a challenge when you go to like childhood stage or adulting stage. It's been a challenge. It's like a peer pressure when you were surrounded with their friends. Say, for example, all of you are guys. So if all of you are in a relationship and then one of you is single, you will be pressured. You have to find one for you. So it's a peer pressure most of the time. It's not about you being ready to commit a relationship, but it's more like a peer pressure to be able to
Really,
have one, right?
really. And now are Filipino men do a lot of Filipino men? Do you think a lot of Filipino men are faithful or unfaithful?
It's just actually the same thing from West, because we've been also dealing some cheating issues here. Very rampant. It's very rampant. It's very common. It gets easily to be distracted to beautiful ladies here.
Right,
But again, Filipinos here are somewhat conservative at the same time they value relationship too.
right,
So it happens that there are cheatings. It's inevitable in a relationship, but
right.
majority of Filipinos really value relationship. So
Really?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I would say that I would because like Western men, like, and I like it becomes it's definitely a thing. Like I would say that Western men would, if you would find it a lot. Well, I'm not gonna say I would say a lot. Just a lot of men from a Western culture would find it very difficult to be faithful in the Philippines. They would find it very, yeah, very problematic because it's be like once again, it's just options, right? And it's you go from being in an environment that you have no options to in an environment where you have options everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So I think that it's one of those things that it's very. I think that a lot of men struggle with that. And once again, I watch a lot of videos and I see a lot of things that people are when people are talking, and I think that a lot of men they just get over there and they just kind of go crazy for a while and they just, oh my goodness, look at what I'm going to do, and they just kind of go wild. So, but I like and believe me, that's not something that I promote at all. I don't think that's a good way to do it, right? I think that's a very it almost makes me feel like that they view the women as like commodities rather than people, right? And I don't like that at all. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think that it goes along with the same thing of like the guys who get all the girls here, the guys who are really good looking or have a ton of money and whatever, and they're just like just going through women like crazy. And then all of a sudden you get a guy who's never had that, and they're always complaining that the guys that are like that here and saying what bad guys they are, and then they go to a place like the Philippines and then they behave in that same fashion. You know what I mean? And I think that's pretty terrible. But
You know what?
yeah,
I adore you for having that kind. of perspective for not treating girls as like commodities, because you
Right.
know what? Um, if we do a survey here in the Philippines, if we ask them um, about rating as 10 as the highest for Westerners to go in the Philippines, treating girls right, do they tend to see or treat girls just like a commodities? We would answer 3 out of 10. I think only 3 of Westerners are treating girls or Filipinos right. So the rest are treating them as commodities. So basically, you saying that it actually like gives us hope that
Right.
we shouldn't be treated that way. I mean, Filipinos shouldn't be treated that way.
Right. Well, I think that even this podcast, right, it's going to be kind of an uphill battle for me overall. And I think the reason being is because if I wanted to make this typical content to a Western audience, right, and I wanted to do a podcast that was like, hey, let's talk about how much fun I can have, and then I could go over there and be like, oh, look, here's the new girl I'm hanging out with. Here's this. Here's that. Like the channel would blow up doing that, right? The
Hmm.
channel would be because guys would be like, oh my goodness, I can go over there and I can meet girls and I can do this and this and like, but I just think that there's so much more, and I plan on also going to other countries too, just to visit and things like that while I'm out. But like, I just think that there has to be a voice that's not against that, because I think that as long as everybody involved knows what you're doing, oh, they do whatever you do. Like I don't like it's only, but it's when all the games are being played and like telling a girl like, oh, I hook up with this one and I love you, and then you're off to the next one, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna be back to see you, and then you just never show back up, and I just think that's just a scummy way to do things, right? That's not awesome. You should never do that. So, but I what I, like so I'm just trying to be a different voice in the space that's like more grounded and more realistic about things. Like that, I think there are some really real problems, in here, and I think that there are things that are really great. And I do agree, and I always put that caveat in there that the reason why it's really great for us there is because it's because our money is significantly better, right? And it gives us a whole bunch of opportunities. But I think with those opportunities, it also gives us an opportunity to actually do that, to take some of the resources from here, and you could actually do something really positive there, and just you can you can just be better, right? You can do something positive there for other people, and maybe find the relationship that you're actually looking for. And I think both things can actually happen. There's definitely an environment that if you have a little bit of money, that you can go there and start a new business and really be successful there. You wouldn't be successful money wise by our standards here, but you'd be extremely successful by Filipino standards. And I think that you can and that's really my overall goal, right? Once I'm there full time, I really want to do things that are going to not just elevate. I want to elevate people around me. See, I can make a much larger impact to more people there than I ever could here. If I tried to help the same number of people here as I did there, I would be out of money in a year. I would have no money because it's so expensive here. But there, you can take the money from here and do something ex- extremely well, and really something that's awesome for people. And yeah, and just make a difference, right? So, like I said, I want to just be that voice that says that there are other options, and I think that there's something more realistic about doing what it is that I'm doing without exploding things or treating people like commodities or treating people like they're less. Because I don't think that just because I have to be born in a place where my dollar is worth more money, that makes me a better person in any way, shape, or form. It's just where I was born. You know what I mean? It's luck of the draw, right? Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Sean, because you become a role model, and then also it's so good that you're holding tightly to your principles and values that you don't want to treat Philippines like that. It's really
Mhm.
rare. It's really rare, and keep doing that way. Keep inspiring people and keep changing the perspective on the Westerners' point of view that it shouldn't be like that.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I get it. Like, and so, but also don't get me wrong. Like, I understand there's a red light district, right? I understand that too. I get it. And I also don't think there's anything wrong with that either, right? I think once again, if everybody knows what they're getting into, it's completely fine. It's completely fine as long as everybody knows that this is what you're into. And I think that everybody needs to live and let live. But I want the listeners that follow what I'm talking about to be a little more conscious that they're actually dealing with people. There's also like this impression, like the women here. That's a whole different subject, right? But the women here, the impression is that like all of the Filipinos are like third world country backwoods. They don't know. They're like they're dumb or something. And I'm like, no, Filipinos are really well educated, and they still view education as a very important thing and stuff like that. So the impressions are, and that it's just men living here and meeting young girls and taking advantage of a situation. And I think that does happen, but that's not the audience that I'm trying to capture, right? I'm trying to capture the audience that are like, I want something different. I want to change and have something that feels more full in life. And that is, yeah, that's what I'm trying to promote here.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of guys here are like, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but have you ever heard of the loneliness epidemic in the United States? Have you heard about that? Is that a term
I
you've heard?
it's my first time hearing that, but
The men in my age group, like, have no interaction with people. Like, we basically we're like our own little island. We go to work, we come home, and then we sit at our computers
Mhm.
and we work more. We don't have like, there's no girlfriends, there's no real friends, there's no nothing. You're just kind of just all by yourself, and the guys are like, they're just miserable. Guys are so miserable, and those are the things that I'm trying to, and it's created. There's some cultural stuff that I really want to remind me to send you like stuff on like red pills and things like that, because there's like these terms that we use here that are, and what it's done is it started like twisting men's minds and making them think that that like it's gotten them looking at things in a bad perspective. And I think that those same guys, if they, for a couple $1,000s, can travel over the Philippines and fix a lot of the issues that they're having in their own head, right? And a lot of the loneliness problem of not being able to. The women here, the expectation are, if you don't have all this money, or you don't have a certain flashy lifestyle, or if you don't look like this, like you can't even get a date. Like, you just like, I have a ton of friends who have not gone on a date
That's
in
sad.
years. In years, nothing. Like, and no girl gives them the time of day. No girl gives them any energy. They're just there's nothing, and that creates this problem where the men are becoming bitter, and they're becoming, irritated, and they're like, well, yeah, I'm like, unless you're like rich, or not rich, but unless you have enough resources, or you have, or you look perfect, like, you just can't get a date here. Like, those are your only options. Otherwise you're just by yourself all the time. And I think going over there, that's something that really, it'll really change your perspective. I tell all my buddies, like, I know a bunch of guys that are suffering from those same problems. I'm like, yeah, just come hang out with me for 2 weeks over there. It'll change your whole life. It'll change how you look at all of this. It's fantastic. And because, yeah, we don't have the same family values. We don't have the same cultural values that you guys have there. So you guys are never really truly alone. You still talk to your whole family, don't you, all the time?
Yep, we do.
Yeah. See, and here, yeah, I mean, you'll go. I mean, months without speaking to anybody in your family here. Months.
Social media is very accessible here, so there's no way you cannot chat them or ask how are they doing. So we do make time for them. That's like it's not an
Oh,
obligation, but I think it just go there, naturally because it's family thing. So yep, we do check each other.
And they see, and here, I mean, social media is huge, but it's social media here is more about impressions, right? How good you're doing, how much you have, what do you got, what are you doing, how big everything is. It's not really about like, or who you can argue with, right? That's really what it's about. It's not really about keeping strong ties and relationships. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem to work that way.
It's almost the same thing here in the Philippines too, because when you talk about social media, it's very toxic. So it also happened that people are bragging what they achieve in life, and then they
Mm-hmm.
post it n- to inspire, but the real intention was really to brag, you know? And
Right,
it's like the intention was not there, so it becomes kind of toxic. So it also happened. We had that kind of character here in the Philippines, so it's just the same
right,
thing.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, people are still people, right? People are just going to be, yeah, they're going to be terrible. But I really think that it's, um, but at the same time, I think that it's important to stress that you guys still have a very core of your family, right? Like, and that's like something that we lack here a lot. You know, even my own kids. My kids are grown, and it'll go like a month and a half without speaking to them. And it's not because I don't love them or they don't love me. That's not the problem. The problem is just the way our culture is set up. Is that everybody's so busy and so in their own little bubble that doesn't, and it's something we've made the mistake of creating this problem, and now we're trying to figure out how to undo the thing that we created, right? Because we're it's about all about time, productivity, go 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 go, get everything done. And yeah, go on.
I would agree with you that it's really cultural difference how kids are
Mhm.
being raised in a certain place. Because
Mhm.
here in the Philippines, to relate that, we cannot go or continue our lives without asking our family members how are they doing. If at time
Mhm.
from in a month, that was really long. How did you even forget your own family? That's us here in the Philippines. Like so,
Right, right,
me personally, I'm working here in Manila, so I am far from the province. So
right.
I send them money, every after 2 weeks. So that's another thing of communication. Hey, do you still have something like that? So it creates a connection. So because of responsibility, so you have to get back on them, you have to check on them, and then same thing, they're also gonna check on you. So it's like a vice versa. But yeah, it should be
Yeah,
there. It's cultural.
yeah, right there is crazy. Yeah, that like kids leave and send money home. Like you still, how old are you?
I'm 20. Um, I'm 27, turning 27.
27. Okay, so 27, and you still every paycheck send money back home.
I do, of course, since I was 17.
See, and I mean that is like it's things like that. Like that is unheard of. Like here, that doesn't happen ever. Like and and you would never as a kid like it's almost like it would be considered it would be a huge negative. Like our culture would be like if I asked one of my children
Mhm,
for money,
mhm.
that would be that is something that everybody would condemn me for. Like
Right.
everybody would condemn me here. I mean, and like I said, it's nothing. And I want to be very clear. I don't think it's wrong, right? I think but it's little things like that. Like, but would your parents send you money?
That's one thing. Because we've been raised by our parents, right? So
Mhm.
a um, toxic culture here in the Philippines, like this not does not happen in the entire family here, but a toxic culture in the Philippines, they use their kids as their investment. So they send them school, right? They have to get a degree, but after that, so that they can, pay them in return, and they can just get rest, and then yeah, support us. It's like that. So they're turning their kids into investment, and
What?
we're trying to break that stigma coming from us. But at
Mhm.
some point, it's because we have a tight relationship with our family members, even though
Right.
we are already having our own work and then they still have their own work. I think it's just the initiative to really give them something to make them feel happy, not because you're obligated to help or you're obligated to send them every now and then, but it's
Mm-hmm.
because of love. You give them, it's because of love. So yeah,
Right.
that depends how
So
you're raised.
so let me ask you this: do you more people that more people send money home? Do you think it's because of love, or do you think it's because of obligation, or do you think it's because they're forced to do it? Which one do you think is the primary reason that Filipinos send money home?
I could have been selfish, if I have to be honest with you. I would love to receive my paycheck just by myself and not share it with anyone. I could
Right.
achieve a lot of things. But you know what, to answer that question, I've been raised by a very good family. So
Mm.
I am doing it. Part of it, I am obligated. You know what? It's a long story because we're a big family. We're 12 siblings in the family. I'm in the 10th order.
You are, wait. You are one of 12?
We're 12 siblings in the family. I'm in the 10th order.
Oh my.
And we're seven guys, and then we are five girls. There are five girls, we're seven guys. And then I am the first, I am in 10th order. I'm second to the youngest, and I'm the first guy to ever graduate in college. So basically, I've been their only hope to change the life. So it's a huge pressure on me. That's really, really true. And we'll say that I'm very obligated for the longest time. I've been supporting them. But you know what? Great thing. Let me share just this with you. It's a great story. It's because
Yeah,
my sister and my brothers recently just graduated in college. So basically, all of them are now a college graduate because of my help. I sacrificed myself since 17 years old till current, and then everyone graduated already. So basically, I'm trying to change that cycle in our family,
right.
that poverty line. So there's hope, though you made some sacrifices for yourself, but I think it's a good sacrifice after all because you know it could change life. It could change the cycle of your family. So it's a good thing for me.
How many of your siblings graduated have gone to college now?
They're now two of them has just graduated last May, and then
Uh-huh.
the last the other two graduated last year. So all of them are now graduate. So I'm good with my life. So I can just send them like partial, not just the same amount before,
Right.
but it's partial.
So now, out of the 12, five of you have degrees.
My sisters were already graduated. They're already a degree holder because we're 12, right? So
Mhm.
my five sisters were already. Three of them are professionals. Two
Uh,
recently just graduated, and then two of my siblings too recently just graduated. So
Males. So, but out of the 12, how many of you have degrees now? Of the 12?
I'm nine.
Nine. Nine of the 12 all have degrees.
Yes.
That's great. And but the whole thing is like, so here, right? Like, and I understand, even if you feel obligated to do it, there's still something good about doing it. Here it would be completely like one of those things, like if one of my children went to college and graduated, would never send money back to make sure their siblings get have money to go to college to do that too, right? And they wouldn't even think about it. And I knew another Filipino there that actually went off to college, and her uncle paid for it and put her through college, and it was a whole big thing. And then she spent 4 years, like, as she put it, eating sardines to put her younger sister, through college to get her a degree too. You know what I mean? And it's something. It's a common story that I hear over and over and over.
Right.
And I still hold to it. Like even if you guys think there's some toxic traits about it, like our systems don't work. Like we have Social Security and all these things that you're supposed to have uh, when you retire and stuff like that, because you don't rely there. But you guys don't. You guys do you guys have a Social Security system?
We do.
You do. So like when you, but oh, that's right. But it's super super low. It's like not even enough to live off of, isn't it?
Actually, it's expensive. It, like, I do think I have a different understanding for social security system. Is that how? Because that's where our taxes go.
Yeah. But Social Security here, it's like once you reach a certain age, then from that point on, the government, based on how much you paid in, the government will give you money every single month until you die to
That's
make
right.
sure that you're right. That's our Social Security system. But our Social Security system, and it's not really enough. But I mean, it's like it's enough to get by if you're on a fixed income. It's not great, but it's still enough to get by. Like how much does somebody get for Social Security there when they start on Social Security?
You'll be shocked because you'll get like your own pension when you
Mm-hmm.
reach to 60 years old because that's our retirement age, right? So when you reach to 60 years old, the amount you have contributed to from the taxes you pay for social security system and
Mm-hmm.
the monthly we're getting from that, our monthly pension actually varies, but as I've heard from the others, they're only getting roughly, you'll be lucky if you get $100 per month. It's 50 to 75, someone like that.
Really?
That's the truth here.
Yeah, see, and that's what I mean. Like, and here, like, you get like I think the average person makes somewhere around $1,000 a month
Right. That's
from Social
that's
Security.
a great move.
Well, that's good. That would be great in the Philippines, which is why I tell everybody like the whole idea of like retiring here is ridiculous. Like,
Right.
nobody should ever, in my opinion, should ever retire in the United States ever. Like, once you're at retirement age, leave here, go to a place like the Philippines. It'd be so much better. Your money will go so much farther. You could still live really, really well, be out of the crazy snow and everything else that we have here, depending upon where you are in the country. But yeah, I mean, your just money goes so much further over a place like the Philippines than it does here. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that yeah, it's something that is definitely heavily on my mind, right? Like the idea, I think the retirement, they say to have a good retirement here, you got to have at least, I think it's 1.5 million in
Wow.
our currency, is what they say that you should have to live a really good retirement, right? And but I mean, like if you retire in the Philippines and you have like 250,000, you would be great. You would have a great retirement in your life with 250,000 US would be fantastic there. Yeah. So that's just what I think about. You know what? So, but here, Greg, at the end of the day, what? Wow, we actually, do you know we've been on this for like over an hour already?
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, listen, I am super happy that so at the end of the day, this is just a this is us just trying this out and just trying to get the format and getting like this is really just me and Greg getting to know each other, and anybody who manages to stick by through this crazy disjointed conversation while we're just getting to know each other and seeing how this whole thing kind of works out.
Right.
But I think that it worked out really well, and I'm really happy if because it's if there's a lot of dead air, or there's time that you can't really communicate well. That's what that really shows that it's just whatever where the flaws are. But I think this really went well. What do you think? You think it went well?
I think, yeah, why not?
Right. I think we did okay. I think we did okay on this one. And you know what, everybody who out there, if you have anything that topics you think that we should discuss, where please leave a comment. Let us know. Let us know like what you like about it, what you don't like about it, because I obviously at the end of the day, even if we have a lot of things that we want to talk about, we obviously want to hear from you so we can engage, so we can see what it is that makes sense to people and what they want to hear us talk about when it comes to these kind of subjects, so we can yeah, just kind of build our audience and get things moving in the right direction. And yeah, overall, Greg, I want to say that thank you, and I think that this went good and it feels good, and I'm really happy to have you on board.
Thank you, son. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Is there any closing? Is there anything that you would like to add to close out our conversation for today?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to add, it's good that we had this kind of topic to introduce the culture of the Philippines to the West, and
Mm-hmm.
we are very, very welcoming, like I said. So please do not believe what you heard from your friends. You have to go through, dig deep with the information. And then this information I'm sharing with you, this is not exact or the truth because we have different experiences. But what I'm telling with you is from what I've also experienced and also what I've personally witnessed from a friend. So yeah, we encourage you to ask questions, to leave comments, whatever you want to talk about on this podcast, and we're very excited to share that with you. And that's pretty much it.
Excellent. All right. Well, that is fantastic. So, with that being said, thank you everybody who managed to stick around. Make sure you like, subscribe, and definitely hit us up. And yeah, we'll talk to you all next week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.